What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis. And we got some major breaking news here. The Senate, wow, check this out. Yeah, so you can see here the Senate passes the first vote to pass the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022 with a 50-50 vote, 50 Democrats voting yes. Remember, Senator Bernie Sanders, an independent, so he voted yes for the first vote, okay? It is not at the time of recording here, which is kind of right before it goes live. I have to record it. My wife processes it, and then it goes up here for 10 a.m. It goes live at 10 a.m. And as of this time of recording, it has not fully passed yet. They're going through the amendment process right now. Republicans and Democrats offering dozens of amendments to the bill here. 50 Democrats or independents voting yes, 50 Republicans all voting no. The tiebreaker then goes to the Vice President of the United States, who is a Democrat, who then voted the 51st vote, who cast the tiebreaker vote for the tiebreaker yes, to then advance the bill into the amendment phase of the bill, the vote-a-rama. Yeah, so the bill has passed into the next phase of the bill. They went the whole night into the vote-a-rama process. I can't imagine why they do things this way. I've said this in the past. Why not? It's unbelievable. Imagine these senators in their 70s, 80s. Bernie Sanders is like 80 years old. Uh, you know, Mitch McConnell's like 80 years old, something like that. Um, it's unbelievable they do these things. They should just go home, come back the next morning, and do the whole amendment process. They work the entire night long. It's ridiculous. They can't just wait till morning and come back and start the process over, but you can let me know your thoughts there. But yeah, you can see here they started this Saturday afternoon to advance the sweeping bill to tackle a whole host of different things in this package. Reform the tax code, tackle climate change. There's provisions in there for oil, green energy, lower the cost of prescription drugs, and take a big step closer to President Biden's and lower the cost of healthcare, a major victory before the midterm elections. The Senate voted 51 to 50. Remember, the 51st vote was the Vice President Kamala Harris. To the 755-page bill after Vice President Kamala Harris arrived at the Capitol to cast the tie-breaking vote. The vote puts the bill on trajectory to pass the Senate sometime Sunday, barring an unexpected setback, such as a sudden absence of a Democratic senator or something along those lines. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer hailed the bill's impending passage as a major achievement, saying, quote, "The time has come for the Senate to begin debate on this historic piece of legislation. The Inflation Reduction Act is a groundbreaking bill for the American people, for families struggling to pay bills, for seniors struggling to pay for medication, for kids struggling with asthma," Schumer said on the floor moments before the vote. "This is one of the most comprehensive and impactful bills Congress has seen in decades," promising it would reduce inflation, lower prescription drug costs, fight climate change, and close tax loophole. The procedural vote sets up 20 hours of debate to be divided evenly between Democrats and Republicans, followed by an open-ended session series of amendment votes known as the vote-a-rama. You can actually see right now that they're live here as I'm filming. Senator Bernie Sanders is on the floor right now. It looks like on an amendment to extend the rules for the child tax credits and increasing corporate tax rates. Now, this headline here has been here for a few minutes at least. So I don't know if they're updating the headline here as I speak. Um, but again, yeah, it's kind of hard. I'm filming here at the moment, and I'm not following this here as a minute by minute thing here, as I've been doing my research here for you guys, and so on and so forth here, and my son's gonna be waking up here soon as well, but yeah. So Bernie Sanders is on the floor. Republicans have been on the floor. Democrats have been on the floor trying to offer amendments. It's unclear at this point what may have passed, but you can see here, this is literally live, and this is just a view here. There's going to be people all throughout the Senate here in this backwards view here of this, okay? So, but as of right now, Senator Bernie Sanders is trying to extend the child tax credit, increasing the corporate tax rate. He also said he's going to be trying to get amendments in there for low and middle income people and also for seniors. I know that because I seen him talking about that earlier, and so we'll have to see here. Now, the thing about this here is that just from what I've seen and also from the Republican votes, Republicans are just voting no on everything. As you've seen, the Republicans all voted no. The votes to pass this is what we expected. Republicans said they were all going to vote no on this months ago. So even if there's a vote for the child tax credits to provide, money for struggling children, for 60 million children or so, all the Republicans will probably vote no. If there's an amendment for seniors, all the Republicans will probably vote no. That's kind of the problem with our system right now, is that Democrats and Republicans. So, and also the vice versa here. So if Republicans come up with amendments, all the Democrats will probably vote no. This is one of the major problems here with our two-party system. If you've seen one of my recent videos here of the third party that was recently created, if that third party could gain steam, it could take away some party share from both parties. Say it took away 10% and 10%, and it gained 20% even, or 30% even, 15-15. That could be enough to create a massive change, because now all of a sudden it could create enough of a difference to actually make a difference here. Because now when one party makes an amendment for, and I'm not saying that any of these amendments, I don't know what's going to happen with these amendments, because remember that Democrats can pass amendments if they get all 50 votes. Okay. Republicans cannot, because they need a tiebreaker vote. They need 51 votes. Okay. And when we go into the midterm elections as well, for Republicans to take over the Senate, they actually need 51 senators, because remember, to control the Senate right now, you would need the Democrats need 50 senators, but the Republicans would need 51, because if it's a 50-50 Senate, the tiebreaker goes to the Vice President of the United States, who is a Democrat right now. But if it goes, so the tie, if it's a 50-50 Senate, the tie goes to the Democrats because they control the presidency and the vice presidency. So when we go to the midterm elections, if it comes back to a 50-50 Senate, the Democrats win it. So for the Republicans to control the Senate, they need to get 51 senators going up here for election, if that makes sense to you. because they cannot win the Senate with a 50-50 tie because they don't control the presidency and the vice presidency. So if the Republicans want to take over the Senate, they need to actually get 51 seats coming up here. And when we also look here, the Senate has only 34 seats of the 100 that are up for re-election here, of the 100 seats that are in the Senate. Remember, about a third are up for re-election every 6 years, and it's almost right on the money here. You know, 1/3, 33.3, 34 seats are up for re-election. This is because they serve 6-year terms here. Of the senators that are up for re-election, only 14 Democrats this time are up for re-election of the incumbents that are in there. And 20 Republicans are up for re-election this time around. Okay. So the Republican seats are actually more vulnerable because there's more Republicans that are up for re-election. Okay. So there's only 14 Democrats up for re-election. And remember, they have to win more seats. They have to win 51 seats as opposed to 50 to take over the Senate. So just statistically, by math odds, not picking sides, but just by the math, they have to win over more seats. But there's 20 Republicans that are, their seats are up for re-election. Okay, so they have to win all 20 of those seats, for example, just to maintain that those Republicans are up, you know, keep their seats. And to take over the Democrats, you can see here there's 20 Republicans up for re-election and 14 Democrats. So you can see here the disparity. There's more Republicans that could lose their seats as opposed to Democrats, if that makes sense here. And also here, 6 Republican senators, as opposed to only 1 Democratic senator, have announced that they're not seeking re-election. So that is another blow to the Republicans here in the Senate. 15 Republicans out of the 20 and 13 Democrats are running for a re-election, aka the 1 Democrat not running for re-election. I think he's retiring. And 6 Republican senators are not running for re-election or retiring. So that just shows you the statistical odds, math-based odds, are against the Republicans here, just based on, you know, the incumbents not running again, not having putting any basis on whether they're Republican states or anything like that. I haven't really, you know, put any emphasis on that, but just the Republicans having to take over more states to win the odds, and that they have to also win 51 seats as opposed to 50 seats. So there is that as well. But it definitely could happen. It's, you know, none of this is out of statistical certainty. Now remember, only with a 50-50 tie in the Senate is when you see the vice president make that tiebreaker vote for the 51st vote. And that's obviously rare, only in a 50-50 tie. We also have some news that just came out here, and I think it was yesterday. Indiana becomes first state to approve abortion ban since post-Roe. Now, there are other states that have done this, but I believe that they were basically set up to automatically trigger if Roe went down. So I think that's where the headlines are coming here on this first state to approve abortion ban. Now, Indiana is a very interesting state here because this is the state that the young child, the 10-year-old went to, who was raped from Ohio and couldn't get an abortion from Ohio and had to go to Indiana. But here's the detail of the Indiana one. There are some exceptions. Remember, Ohio has no exceptions at all, even for rape. Here's what Indiana has to say here. Indiana became the first state in the nation to approve abortion restrictions. This headline's misleading because obviously we know other states have approved abortion restrictions since the U.S. Supreme Court have overturned Roe v. Wade. The Republican, I think it's just in this manner, as they've now voted on it. I think that headline is misleading. The Republican governor quickly signed a near total ban on the procedure shortly after lawmakers approved it. The ban, which takes effect September 15th, so not immediately, does include some exceptions, which about 90% of people, even people that are pro-life, do think there should be exceptions. And here's the exceptions. Abortions would be permitted in cases of rape and incest before 10 weeks post-fertilization. The issue with that, though, is that it's very hard to tell that you're even pregnant before then. So but the rape, particularly, most people think that there should be exceptions for that. You can, of course, you may have a different point of view, but according to polls, they say to protect the life and physical health of the mother, and if the fetus is diagnosed with a lethal anomaly, again, because there's a lot of exceptions where the life of the mother could die. There's states like Ohio where there's literally no exceptions. If the mother's going to die, they will still not do a procedure at all. And if the fetus is diagnosed with a lethal anomaly in Ohio, no exceptions at all. So that's the thing here. At least in Indiana, they do have some exceptions. Victims of rape and incest would not be required to sign a notarized affidavit attesting to an attack, as had once been proposed. Under the bill, abortions can be performed only in hospitals or outpatient centers owned by hospitals, meaning all abortion clinics would lose their licenses. A doctor who performs an illegal abortion or fails to file required reports must also lose their medical license. Their entire medical license. This is very strict here. Wording that tightens current Indiana law that says a doctor may lose their license. Now it says they must lose their medical license. The approval came after the Senate approved it 28-19, so kind of close there. The House approved it 62-38, a little bit bigger margin there. Indiana was among the earliest Republican-run state legislatures to debate tighter abortion laws after the Supreme Court ruling in June that removed the constitutional protections for the procedure. But it is the first state to pass a ban through both chambers. I think that's where they're getting the first to do this, after West Virginia lawmakers on July 29th passed on the chance to be the first state to do that. And the White House calls the Indiana abortion ban post-Roe devastating, is the White House's initial response here. You can let me know your thoughts here in the comment section. Yeah, so I will keep you up to date with everything going on here. We'll have a lot more information here throughout the day and in the next upcoming episodes of the what's going on here with this next bill, and also what's going on here forward with state stimulus. And going forward in next month, we're also going to have the SNAP benefits coming forward. And as we get forward here, we're going to have a lot more state stimulus, and also as we get closer to the election, I think we're going to see a lot more of that type of stuff here trying to be passed here, and as many people, and trying to get as much passed here, hopefully. It's not like this bill is the be-all, end-all of what is going to be passed here, anything like that. Remember, like, for example, SNAP benefits can be passed even without congressional approval at all. So food benefits and things like that, that's for like 40+ million Americans. Student loan forgiveness can be passed probably through executive order. That's another 40 million Americans. So that between those two things alone is like 80 plus million Americans. So, and then we have all these states passing state stimulus. In fact, I'll link you to that video here in a moment. There's over 20 states, which is tens of millions of Americans that are getting cash payments, stimulus checks, tax rebate checks here as well. And some of those checks, it's like 8 different states are going out this month. So make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel. It's completely free to do so. Click the bell icon down below and the like button if you haven't yet as well to help support our channel. All that's completely free to do so, and I will keep you up to date here as well. You can click here to watch my newest video next, and here's our video with millions of people that are getting checks, stimulus checks, and cash rebate checks here right now. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you here in the next video.